Good morning, and thank you for joining us. We are gathered today to highlight the importance of getting vaccinated, getting the booster, and wearing a mask indoors in public. I'm joined by Dr. John Alexander from Central Maine Medical Center and Dr. Douglas Smith from St. Mary's Regional Medical Center, Abdikader Shire from AK Health and Social Services, Stephanie Gelinas, Ward 7 Counselor and Executive Director of Sandcastle Clinical and Educational Services, and Shanna Cox, President and CEO of the LA Metro Chamber of Commerce. Also joining us are some of Lewiston City Councilors, Councilor Harriman from Ward 3, Councilor Scott from Ward 1, and members of the Lewiston Area Public Health Committee. Thank you, Dr. Walworth. Lewiston's vaccination rate is 67%, which is below the state of Maine's vaccination rate of 70.5%. We can do better as a city, and we need to do better to alleviate the strain on our hospitals, schools, and our local economy. COVID-19 vaccines are safe and effective. They are also free and readily available. Getting the vaccine and booster are the best things that you can do for yourself. It decreases the chance that you become infected, and if you develop a breakthrough infection, you are much less likely to require hospitalization. Getting the vaccine and booster are the best things that you can do for your neighbors. Many in our community are immunocompromised. Many have chronic lung disease. Children under 5 cannot get vaccinated at this time. You can help protect the youngest and most vulnerable in Lewiston. Getting the vaccine and booster are the best things that you can do for our schools. This pandemic has placed an incredible strain on our school system, and it's important to keep our community healthy so students, educators, and support staff can safely remain in schools. Getting the vaccine and booster are the best things that you can do for the Lewiston business community. I've talked with employers all over the city, and they've been dealing with quarantines and isolations and the resulting disruptions for too long now. Protecting our workforce is so important to our local economy. In addition to getting the vaccine and booster, wearing a mask indoors in public will help reduce breakthrough infections. These are 3 things that we can do to protect ourselves, our neighbors, our schools, and our local businesses. And I want to take a moment to say thank you to our 2 hospitals. Central Maine Medical Center and St. Mary's Regional Medical Center are a vital presence in our community. Over the past 2 years, they have come through for our city and our entire region. This pandemic has put our hospitals to the test, and I recognize the hard work and sacrifices made by the physicians, nurses, and staff. You are not taken for granted. As mayor, and on behalf of the city of Lewiston, we all owe you a debt of gratitude. Thank you so much. We will now hear from John Alexander, Chief Medical Officer of Central Maine Healthcare.
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you to members of the community. This is really an important day for us to be talking about vaccination. You know, when the pandemic began back in March of 2020, there were very few things that we could do to help to prevent the spread. And of course, we all know that that meant shutting down many parts of our community, including our healthcare systems. People had to avoid getting the care that they needed and the care that they should have to prevent other illnesses. We spent 10 months simply using a strategy of masking, hand hygiene, and social distancing to try to prevent us from spreading the disease of COVID-19. But fortunately, in December of last year, and now going on, rather December of 2020, and now going into its second year, we received vaccinations. And in the spring of 2021, we opened up the mass vaccination clinic over at the Auburn Mall. That was a partnership with the community members around here, as well as St. Mary's and other members of our community. We've received tremendous support from all of you to help ensure that we have volunteers and people who are willing to spend their time to ensure that every community member, no matter where you are, what part of the community you're from, you can get a vaccine. And to this day, we continue to have the vaccination clinic running strong. Tuesday through Friday, from 8 until 6 p.m., anyone can get the vaccine for free. If you're a child under the age of 5, from 5 to 11, we can make appointments for you in the afternoons. So we strongly encourage all community members to get their vaccine, get their booster, stay masked, and stay safe. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mayor Shalene, Dr. Alexander, and other dignitaries. It really is an honor to be here. As Dr. Alexander was saying, this has really been a learning process as we've gone through this. We started out with a novel virus that we had never even heard of before. The vaccine technology has ramped up so quickly. Tremendous respect for what Central Maine has done leading the vaccine efforts there. And I think we all remember a time over the last few months where it felt like maybe we were turning the corner and maybe this was kind of going to be behind us sooner than later. Unfortunately, it's not been the case with initially the Delta virus and now Omicron, which is really making up the majority of cases in the community these days. We unfortunately are back in a situation where it really has put a strain on our community and on our hospital systems. John and I were talking before, and folks have seen the news articles talking about Maine Health and other systems where you have a very high percentage of staff that are out. Even those that are vaccinated, especially those maybe that are not boosted, unfortunately have succumbed to the illness. But vaccination remains the #1 way for us to prevent illness and hospitalizations. We're still seeing a very high rate of hospitalizations, which has put a strain on the capacity of the health systems and on some level limited the ability for us to care for the things. So not only does it keep people safe, keeps people healthier, keeps folks out of the hospital, and allows us to be able to take care of all the other reasons that people do need health care. And I'll echo what Dr. Alexander said, still very important for people to get the health care we need, but as a piece of that is making sure that they're vaccinated to stay safe and do their part to protect their partners. While many folks are not getting particularly ill with this, we're still seeing, unfortunately, people every day in our intensive care units and on ventilators and unfortunately succumbing and dying from COVID-19. So again, I want to thank the community for all they've done. I think it's time to, even though we're tired of masks and everything else, I think it's time to sort of double down, really do our best to make sure we're protecting ourselves and others, and most of all, get vaccinated. But thank you. It's been an honor to care for the community, and we hopefully can continue to move through the pandemic. But thank you, Mayor.
Hello, everyone. My name is Abdulqadar Shire. I am the Executive Director of AK Health and Social Services. We are a Lewiston-based nonprofit organization that primarily serves the immigrant, buyback, and refugee communities who are disproportionately impacted by COVID-19. To continue protecting our community this year, AK Health and Social Services is committed to providing free COVID-19 testing and holding regular pop-up vaccine clinics to increase accessibility of vaccines to the immigrant population. Today, I'm calling your attention to how important it is to get vaccinated as we fight COVID-19 and other developing variants like the Omicron. As a community, we must stay vigilant as we go through our days to keep ourselves, our families, and our communities safe. Now more than ever, it is important to get fully vaccinated and get boosted when eligible. I want to take this opportunity to thank our healthcare providers on the front lines, helping our communities every day since the very start of the pandemic. Days like today remind us that we had not and have never been alone in this fight. The leadership of our medical experts, Dr. Alexandra and Dr. Smith, have made an incredible impact from the beginning of the pandemic. The leadership of Councillor Jalinas, who had advocated for innovative strategies to increase vaccination rates, the guidance of Shana Cox, who has worked to ensure the Lewiston business stay open despite the many challenges on top of the pandemic. And I also want to thank the mayor for bringing us here together today to remind us to continue focusing on the future. Most importantly, of course, is to reinforce today's message. We urge everyone who's eligible to get the vaccines and follow the CDC social distancing guidelines. In order to effectively fight the virus, we must come together as a community and protect each other from the common enemy, in this case, COVID-19. We must continue to uphold the perseverance and efforts that have gotten us through these past 2 years so we can focus on our collective future. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Stephanie Jelinas, and I'm glad to join this press conference and support Mayor Shalene's initiative about getting fully vaccinated, getting the booster, and wearing a mask indoors. As one of Lewiston City Councilors, I serve as the council representative on the Lewiston Area Public Health Committee. And indeed, COVID is a public health issue. From time to time, I have been challenged and asked, why wear a mask? And as one of the community leaders of Lewiston, I'd like to share my reasons. One, I don't know if I have COVID, and the science is clear. People can spread the virus before they even have symptoms. Number two, I don't know if the person that I'm near is battling cancer or has a loved one battling cancer, or perhaps they care for their mom, their elderly parent. While they might be fine, Well, I might be fine, they might not. Third, I want my community to thrive again. And I want businesses to be able to stay open. And I want for our community of employees to stay healthy. COVID has caused tremendous disruption to our area businesses. It's not the act of one, but rather all of us. The African proverb, "It takes a village," certainly applies here. We need to look at this not as divisive, but as a public health issue and do our part to help mitigate the spread and continuing of COVID. Thank you.
Thank you. Today you've heard all of the reasons for yourself, for your family, for the sake of our healthcare system, for your neighbor, to be fully vaccinated, to have gotten your booster recently, and to continue to wear masks inside in public indoor spaces. All of those are the right reasons. But if you need one more, and for so many people it seems they do, there are continuing economic reasons to take the same advice. I represent 800 businesses and more than 40,000 employees across this county. I continue to hear from them every day about the plight of managing their workforce, about doing what's right to keep their employees healthy and to keep their doors open, not just for the sake of the paycheck, which is an important piece of how dollars circulate in our local economy, but also because these employees represent the healthcare system and the potential impact to the healthcare system. They're the way you get your morning cup of coffee that so many of us rely on. They're your Saturday night date night at your favorite restaurant. They're the printer or copier station that keeps your business going. We work together as a community, as a business community, to make sure your needs are met. The grocery stores, the essential workers, and every day, each of you has one step that you can take that contributes to how we all stay healthy and safety and moving back to a positive economic stance, which we've all been working so hard on for more than 2.5 years. We invite you to take Mayor Shalene's advice today to get fully vaccinated, to get boosted, and to wear a mask indoors whenever you can, not just for you, but for the sake of all of us. Thank you. Sure. Shanna, S-H-A-N-N-A, Cox, C-O-X. Sure. I'm Shanna Cox. I'm the president and CEO of the Lewiston Auburn Metropolitan Chamber of Commerce. Thank you.
Thank you, each one of you, for joining me today. I appreciate your leadership in this community. Thank you very much. And now I will read the proclamation. So, proclamation to get fully vaccinated, get your booster, and wear a mask awareness day. Whereas COVID-19 Omicron variant is highly contagious and will continue to spread throughout our state and our city, and whereas Lewiston's vaccination rate is 67%, which is below the state of Maine vaccination rate of 70.5%, and whereas only 60% of those vaccinated in this county have received the booster, and whereas being fully vaccinated and getting the booster when eligible provides the best protection against infection and avoiding hospitalization in the case of a breakthrough infection, and whereas following the CDC recommendation to wear masks while in public spaces indoors further reduces the likelihood of transmission, and whereas the strain endured over the past 2 years by our two local hospitals, Central Maine Medical Center and St. Mary's Regional Medical Center, needs to be reduced. And whereas it's important to keep our community healthy so students, educators, and support staff can safely remain in schools, and whereas the need for employees of Lewiston's businesses to quarantine and isolate, which causes disruption and hardship to our local economy, needs to be reduced, and whereas being fully vaccinated, getting the booster when eligible, and masking indoors in public settings will positively contribute to the continued health and well-being of Lewiston residents. Now therefore, I, Carl L. Shalene, Mayor of Lewiston, Maine, do hereby proclaim January 10th, 2022 as Get Fully Vaccinated, Get Your Booster, and Wear a Mask Awareness Day in the city of Lewiston. Thank you. Thank you all for coming. And once again, thank you to everyone behind me here. Thank you.